Okay, so the question, as we know, is always going to be how do the writers present their experiences and perspectives, or ideas and perspectives about their experiences. Okay, always going to be that, 95%, I reckon. So I think it's a fairly safe certainty that is what we're going to have. What's question 4? Always going to be about? Language and structure. Okay, what phrase do you not use ever? Language and structure. What word do you not use ever? Thank you. Okay, so we've done our introduction. Okay, so I'm just going to put on post-it. So if you want to stick your post-it there, we've done that. Okay, thinking about how we're going to do it. Okay, remember we track from the beginning. So look at the beginning of your writing, look at the beginning of Palin, look at the beginning of Zeppa. I've got it on my computer and in front of me. You're going to have to tell me what to write. How are we going to start it? Remember, topic sentence. Or start with a comparative phrase. Both writers. How are we starting it? How are they both telling us and initially starting to tell us their story? How have these two told their stories? Go on, Elizabeth.
They both started on like their arrival.
Lovely. Okay, let's keep it nice and simple. Oh, hang on. Let's have a go. Is that better? Okay, both writers. Okay, are they they're just stories or accounts or memoirs or writing? How do we want to say it? One is a memoir, one's travelling.
Is a memoir.
Yeah.
And the other one's travelling.
Other one's travelling. Shall we just say account of their experience? Keep it nice and simple. We don't need to overcomplicate it. We kind of need to get through it. Both writers opened their accounts of their experiences. So remember, we're rephrasing some of the sentences that we got in our introduction and from our question. Okay, it's a really good way to just get words on the page and get those juices in your brain flowing. Both writers open their accounts of their experiences with, is it their first impressions of their arrival or just their arrival? Let's go with their arrival. Arrivals at just arrivals, full stop. Okay, any mistakes or errors that I make, you copy me because this is more about the dialogue you're having inside your head. Okay, who are we going to start with first? Let's start with Zeppa. Okay. In Zeppa's memoir, name the text type. So it's a memoir that grew out of an essay. Yeah. So we've already acknowledged the tone of it. We are going to pick up on that because it might be that actually Palin also has that sort of analytical documentary style tone, which we can then bring in because that's how he's telling his story. Yeah. Remember, this is about how they're telling the story. So both writers open their accounts of experiences with their arrival. In Zeppa's memoir, comma, how does she open it? What's her particular focus? How is she starting her story?
She was disappointed.
Yeah. In Zeppa's memoir, her tone is simply one of disappointment. You are allowed to draw on some of the points that you made in question 4. Is Zeppa overcome? Is she obsessed with the mountains? Is she persistent in talking about these mountains, which supports the fact that these mountains are everywhere? Arlie, what do you think?
Trapped by the mountains.
Okay. She feels trapped. By the mountains around her. And the frequent, let's kind of go down some techniquing here, frequent reference to mountains all around, Let's do peaks. Let's do... So I'm just picking up and grouping features. Reference to mountains all around. Dot, dot, dot. I'm doing peaks. Dot, dot, dot. Is there anything else that we can do? Oh, yep, look. Line 5. Ridges and sharp peaks. Should you do any more about mountains? Yep. Ridges. And then... in her second paragraph, she repeats again. I've lost it. Where should we go? Mountains and what? 4? Yeah, mountains, mountains, more mountains, and mountains again. Actually, I'm going to cross that out and just keep it simple. Okay, so we've paused. Let's read. Let's kind of just skim and scan what we've written. So even though we've done, I don't know, we've gone through it and we've picked up sort of the really big sort of flags that we can see across both texts. We're writing for 25, 30 minutes, but within that timing, you're pausing, reading, pausing, checking, making sure your thought processes are going in the right direction. Both writers open their accounts of experiences with their arrival. Okay, in Zeppa's memoir, her tone is simply one of disappointment. She feels trapped by the mountains around her and the frequent reference to mountains all round, peaks, ridges, and then in her second paragraph, she repeats mountains again. Is her constant repetition of the mountains reflective of the fact that they are constantly around her? Yeah, okay. The effect of this, remember, this is about how she's telling her story. The effect of this is to emphasize and perhaps echo the impression that there are mountains everywhere. Okay, have a quick check. Have we got, do we have a topic sentence? Are we still talking about the openings? Yeah. Do we have a comparative word or phrase? Do we? I think we do. It's our first one. Both. Yeah? Do we have quotes or references?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Do we have technique? Yeah. Have we talked about the effect? This is, she does this in order to. This is because this is what she wants. Okay, we haven't quite got, no, I think we've got a sort of connective, sort of like building it on, sort of. Because we've got here, and then. Okay, so we can add that in. So we can add in, and then. And what's this showing us is it's giving us that, giving your examiner the impression you get the story, you get the way she's done it. Now we need to bring in Palin. Okay, this is not going to be balanced. That's okay though. That's okay. You're not expected to make it balanced, but we need to kind of try and keep it, you know, bouncing between the two of them. How does Palin do it? How does he start his story? Remembering, it's about how they're telling their story. How does he start his story? Is his story as dramatic? Bless you, for him.
In reality, it's but he doesn't describe it to me.
No. So Palin's opening is, or Palin's arrival is as dramatic as Zeppa's, but for him, it's a different type of drama. Nice. Let's write it down. Okay. Palin. Oops. All right. You can do this as a separate paragraph, but it doesn't need to. It can be sort of big chunk. Palin's arrival is no less dramatic than Zeppa's, comma, but what did we say? His his focus, his approach.
He was in awe.
But while she is feeling claustrophobic, Palin is in awe of the danger. Look at it, second line. Bounce, hit, swerve, slide, finally grip. I think it might be in awe of the landscape. Yep. And initial danger. Okay. So how does he do it? How does he do it? How does he show us this, or how does he show us this initial danger? How does he do it? How does he tell his opening story? What do we underline?
The bounce, hit, bounce, hit.
Okay. Palin recreates. Does he recreate it for us? Does he reimagine? Does he recall? What's he doing with the bounce, hit, slide, swerve, swerve, slide? Let's do recalls. Quite specifically. Specific. The small plane landed, bounce, hit, hit. Okay, what is the effect? Okay, why is he doing this? He's doing this in order to, what's the because? Is the why part. Why is he telling us about how it lands? What's he really, really trying to tap into for us? Come on, think about the last time you went on a plane, if you've had that opportunity. How many of you have been in turbulence? And you've just held on, the seatbelt light goes on, you're like, oh my God, life flashes before that. Or you've landed and it's really, really rocky and the plane is switching and swerving. There's loads of videos on YouTube or TikTok, not that I would know, of a plane coming in, and the voiceover is really funny. The plane coming in, and it's all over the place, and it goes in for a landing, and it kind of sweeps back up again, and finally it's down, and everyone is safe, and it's there. But the person filming it is on the edge of their seat, not too sure that it's going to work. That is what Palin is tapping into, our fear of not surviving a flight. Okay, air accidents and fear of air accidents is real. People are terrified of flying, and this is what he's tapping into. Okay. Palin is tapping into his readers' fear, and discomfort of turbulent or bumpy, landings to share how scared he also felt, when the plane then, and I'm going to put in, swerved, slid, and finally found grip. Okay, now what I've done here is I've actually changed the nature of the quote so it fits in with my sentence. So when you embed a quote in your writing, if you need to change the ending, okay, if you need to change the ending, so the suffix, so this is the suffix at the end with the ed, if you need to change it to make sure it fits in with your writing, then you need to do that. Emily?
Can you read what it says after
Yeah. Okay, so Palin is tapping into his reader's fear and discomfort of turbulent or bumpy landings to share how scared he also felt when the plane, oopsie daisy, then swerved, slid, and finally found grip. You're better at writing on horizontal surfaces than I am. There we are. Okay. Heidi?
Read it up. Like, no,
That way.
yeah, thank you.
Better? Okay. So we then mentioned at the top about his the landscape. So in the second paragraph, go on, tell me, ask, go on. What's the question? Slid. So I'm just referencing the text. So on his second paragraph then, where she then focuses on, so she stays on the rock, all the rock. In his second paragraph, he moves on to really just how beautiful, especially his last sentence. He says, the air is still and a watery sun filters through the grey-edged clouds, giving the place a forlorn and lonely aspect. The temperature is minus 25 centigrade. This is considered warm. So he's kind of got a little bit of a, oh no, we've stopped. Oh no, a little bit of a, what? That's very odd. I'm still filming, so my fingers are still there, but that's just odd. Okay, so a little bit of, oh, we're back. Humour added in. She's not funny. She's not finding this experience funny at all. So we do mention here, at the top, up here, the effect is to emphasise and perhaps echo the impression there. Palin's arrival is no less dramatic than Zeppa's, but while she's feeling claustrophobic, Palin is in awe of the landscape and initial danger. So I think in this part here, we need to move on to see where they move their story on. Okay? So while, and I'm going to continue with Palin because I think we're on a bit of a roll. So while Palin pauses to observe the watery sun and the lonely aspect of, where are they? North Pole? They're all of the Pole, Eureka Base, Ellesmere Island. Okay, so it's lonely aspect. I'm just, if I've got quotes here, okay, this is a quote. So I'm quoting Palin. This is directly from the text. You need to have the text in front of you. Okay, you have to have the text in front of you so you can kind of see where it's going. So while Palin pauses to observe the watery sun and the lonely aspect of the North Pole, what is Zeppa's next focus?
Her first night.
Good. And now I've labelled the memoir. I've popped in the text type, okay, which is important. So while Palin pauses to observe the watery sun and the lonely aspect, because I'm taking the direct lines, I'm embedding the quote of the North Pole, comma, Zeppa moves her memoir to her feelings about her first night. Yeah. In Tempe. Okay, and I think we need to kind of bounce between the two of them here, because he's talking about this lethal landscape and she's obsessing about her simple pine panelled room and the people around him. He then talks about the other people they've got. But here's moving. Once they deal with the filming, he focuses on really the challenges that they haven't got enough fuel and they've only got a litre of tomato juice, and how lonely it is where she's dealing with a first world problem and he's actually dealing with a potentially life-threatening situation. They might have to, fall from the sky. So does she list the issues? Did she list the issues in it? So I took 5 different flights. I'm exhausted. I used to wonder what's on the other side. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. She lists her troubles. Okay, and we're going to refer to them. We're not going to necessarily quote them down because it's quite a lot. From the length of her journey, does Palin also talk about how long that they were going on for? He does it, 6 hours. Then he talks about we plan to follow the 30-degree east meridian. That's it, really. Gives us a bit of a timestamp. 700 miles from the nearest settlement. Okay. So from the length of her journey to how tired she is, comma, and the dismay at the simple, what did she say? Pine-panelled room. Okay, so let's pause here. So while Palin pauses to observe the watery sun, which is a quote, and the lonely aspect, which we quoted, of the North Pole, comma, Zeppa moves her memoir to her feelings about her first night in Thimphu. She lists, technique, her troubles. If you two are going to continue having a private conversation across my classroom, you can leave and do it outside. It's really simple, because it's just rude. Okay, she lists her troubles. From the length of her journey to how tired she is and the dismay at the simple pine-panelled room, Zeppa, what does she do? She doesn't actually get on. She's on, 29 lines, and she's obsessing about how much of a victim she is. She's obsessing about how awful her life is and how everyone else seems super duper wonderful, and she's having such a difficult time. And then she goes, line 30, she's still in this, I can't cope with this, this cultural disconnect. Right, let's put that. So Zeppa's cultural disconnect continues. Okay, can we have a comparative connective then? Or a comparative phrase so we can now bring in Palin. Because what is he now talking about? Where has he now moved his story to? She's obsessing about how much, she's got such a hard life and this is so awful. This is not what she paid up for. Where has he now moved his story to?
The next day.
So he moves it on to the next. So does he move it on to the next day, or is he still in sort of kind of like relative present, but quite close timing? So she moves first night, next morning. They've done the filming. An hour's off filming, and then they haven't actually landed yet. They haven't got to the next day yet. So his time scale is really, really narrow. Her time scale is kind of big, big moments. Okay? So, however, Palin doesn't move or progress his travel writing, let's get in that genre, beyond the next challenge that he and the team face, colon, this time a lack of fuel. Does he talk about the potential situation they're facing in relatively good humour? Does he have a better tone than she does? She's very critical, she's very despondent, she's very resistant, she's not open-minded, she's really judgmental. Is he more relaxed about it? Yeah, I mean, it's really serious where he is. He's in the, you know, but he's a seasoned travel writer, isn't he?
When is that served to the first line? What was the first line again?
Here,
Yeah, I didn't get some of the...
to while Palin pauses to observe the watery sun. Heidi? Here, right, however, Palin doesn't move or progress his travel writing beyond the next challenge that he and the team face, colon, this time a lack of fuel. Okay, so I'm now going to change my paragraphs because I think that's quite a nice sort of ending point, so let's move the focus on. Okay. Palin's good humour unlike Zeppa's despondent and critical tone, so we're focusing, so we've got here Palin's good humour unlike Zeppa's despondent and critical tone, so we're bringing in that sort of comparative nudge, but we're talking about Palin now. What is it about his good humour? Okay, why does he have this good humour? Okay, makes the reader, oops, feel encouraged and reassured that as a seasoned and experienced travel, and I'm moving up, writer, Palin will be okay. Yeah? Just almost giving up. Just like, what is the point? I don't want to be here. This is awful. Okay? Palin's good humour, unlike Zeppa's despondent and critical tone, makes the reader feel encouraged and reassured that as a seasoned and experienced travel writer, okay, can I turn over? It does say seasons, go with it. As I said, you're more used to writing on horizontal surfaces than I am. Okay, can I move on?
Yeah.
Are we all there? Rami, where are you? Can I turn over? Yeah? Okay. Palin will be okay. Right, so let's have a look. He's very matter of fact, isn't he? We haven't got enough fuel and there's only a litre of tomato sauce. As opposed to her, she's quite dismissive, actually, attitude. Okay, so Palin states, quite matter-of-factly, that we have no option but to fly and hope. which is what he says on line 24. Okay, so despite everything being 400 miles away and beyond radio range, he still lives in hope. Pop that over to Zeppa. Again, she feels very separate. Okay, he uses the word we. What type of word is the word we?
Exclusive.
Very inclusive. Okay, it's first person plural. Cameron?
How many of these paragraphs do you aim for?
Well, we are looking at 30 minutes, but we're not writing this at speed. Okay, so I reckon you should be having, what does it say here? So it's only 40 minutes. So if you do 5-minute paragraphs, you can possibly write 6.
So 6 paragraphs, that long.
So, well, these are quite long.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is probably, so this is 2 tops. Okay, we kind of move to another top here, and then we're moving to a middle, and then I would probably look at an end. So remember, it's 2 tops, middle, and a bottom, or top to middle and a bottom. That's roughly the sort of structure. Okay, so top, middle, middle, and a bottom. Yeah, but you've got to cover both texts. So you can do it for big sections, or you can split them up as little ones. It won't be balanced. So you can have 2 middles, a middle Zeppa, middle Palin, or 2 middles on Zeppa and 1 on Palin. Yeah, because you've got an unseen and you're shooting from the hip, and the taught text, you've spent a lot more time on it. The exam would know that this proportion is not going to be balanced. Always do 2 tops, so top for both of them. Always do bottom for both of them, and then aim for a couple of middles as much as you can. We're overdoing this and we're talking a lot about it, so it's going to take a lot longer. Okay. Right, Palin states quite matter-of-factly, so we're sort of identifying tone, that we have no option but to fly in hope. The use of the first person plural, we, means that he's part of a team. Okay, it includes the reader as also an honorary member. Okay, and I think that's quite important because Zeppa doesn't at all, and I think that's quite a significant thing. Palin, does he consistently say we? Skim and Scanner, does he consistently say we? I reckon he does. Consistently, okay, use the first person, can't spell it, plural we. Okay, when you're going to access the what, how, why, okay, to access that is because, in order to, okay, so that is our gateway to that. Okay, okay, so to emphasize, that he is part of a team, whereas Zeppa maintains her first person point of view, which has the effect of distancing us and herself from the culture and traditions she's experiencing. Oops. In Bhutan, because she does constantly. She's very, and we've already mentioned this disconnect. Okay. We don't necessarily need to give a direct reference, a direct quote, but we have referenced it. And she does say on line 70, if you get your anthology, line 70, she does say we. I think that's the only time she does it. Line 70, she says, in Timpu, we attend. And that's the only time she does it. Oh no, she does on us. Okay. So let's move to towards the end. Okay, so towards the end. Of her account, Zeppa's tone begins to take we're going to now reference the essay. More critical feel as she learns about the history of Thimphu. Okay, here her pronoun use shifts to plural. She is now part of a group learning, not just a solo traveller. Okay, Palin's tone, I'm rushing this now, the bell's going to go. Okay, also shifts as he moves his story into a documentary tone.